In this video, we are quickly revising this in our environment chapter, 15 chapter. What is a ecosystems and what are its component? All the organisms such as plants, animal, microscopic organisms, and the human beings, as well as the physical surrounding, interacts with each other and maintains a balance in nature. All these interaction of the organisms is together with the non-living constituent of the environment forms the ecosystem. This is the ecosystem, and it consists of both living and non-living components. Living components, we already know: animals, human beings, plant, and all that. Non-living are like temperature, rainfall, wind, solid soil, and minerals. We have seen in earlier classes that organism can be grouped as producer, consumer, decomposer, and according to the manner in which they obtain their they obtain their sustenance from the environment. So based on what they eat and how what they are eating, and all the green plants contain a bacteria. All the green plants and certain bacteria, green plants and certain bacteria, which can produce a food from photosynthesis. Certain bacteria are the cyanobacteria, which is called blue green algae. They have photosynthetic cells and they produce their foods from the photosynthesis when the sun energy is using, so they are called producer. So they produce the energy for all the living organisms of this of this earth, because and they produce it because they are not relying on anything else, any other organisms. They are relying on the sun's energy. They are converting the sun's energy by mean of photosynthesis, and this is how the energy comes into uh, life forms from inorganic, from the non-living things. Then the organisms which are depends on the prime producers, either directly or indirectly for sustenance, they are called consumers. So consumers are further grouped into primary consumers, secondary consumer, tertiary consumers, and these are called consumers. Consumer can be closely vary from herbivorous, and they can be carnivorous and omnivorous in parasite. And also after the top consumer, one more things come, which are called decomposers. Microorganisms comprising bacteria, fungi break down the dead remains and waste of the waste product of the organisms, and these organisms are decomposers. They break down the complex organic substance into the simpler organic substance. So what they are doing, what is happening in the nature? First, there is a sun here. There is a pyramid shape. These are the producers. They are using solar energy, and reaction is happening with carbon dioxide H2O, and in the presence of oxygen, I think, and they forms a molecule which is called C6H12O6. A glucose molecule is formed by this, and this contains energy, and this energy is used by all the animals above this. So these are the producer, and above tropic levels depends on producers. So those who are immediately depends on the producer are called primary consumer, primary consumers, and those who are depends on these organisms, they are called secondary consumers, and this is called tertiary consumers. And quaternary consumers can be there, but at the top of the like at the top of the tertiary, quaternary consumers. And after that, what happens when they die? These organisms die. They are being decomposed by the bacteria. Decomposition happens, and their complex body, organic body breaks down into simpler glucose molecule again. This is how this nature is working. The energy is cyclic here. So, like we are humans, and we eat vegetarian food and carnivorous food, and we will die, and our body will be decomposed. And this is how this, you know, this life on earth is is depending on, is it, it this is how this life on earth goes. It depends on energy, and this energy is cyclic. We have a food chain and food web. We don't have actually food chain, because like it is not like there will be only a chain of foods. There are food webs, different, or some are some. So there's a complex nature of the food here, so we call it food web. It's not a chain like this, it is like this also. They also eat these things. So this is called, it creates web like structure, like we spider had a web. So similarly it creates a web. It is, so food web is a more accurate. Each step or a level of the food chain forms a trophic level. Autotrophs are producers, as are at the first trophic levels, and herbivores or the primary consumers comes at the second, and the small carnivores or the secondary consumers. Small carnivores are called secondary consumers, and at the third, and the large carnivores or the tertiary consumers comes in a fourth trophic level. So I have already explained this trophic level, how this energy like goes up from the one trophic level to another trophic level. This is also called 1% rule. So what happens is, the green energy in the terrestrial ecosystem captured 1% of the sunlight. So what they are doing, like producers are converting 1% of the sunlight into food. So food means the glucose molecule. So the primary, like these producers are converting 1% of the sun energy into the food, and it goes when the primary producers are consumed by the primary consumers. Primary consumers means those who are herbivores. They only depends on the plant based food. So average of 10% of energy was energy they got. Primary consumers got about a 10% of energy of the producers. Average of 10% of the food eaten in turn is turned into its own body and made available for the next level. So 10% is take they will take 100%, and only 10% will be utilized for their own body. Rest will be disposed of. And and this 10%, out of this 10%, only 10% can be taken, goes into uh, upper upper level, and 10% can be taken an average value of the amount of the organic matter that is present in each step, and this is the next consumer level. So here, let me quickly explain it. From the sun, it is only like converting 1% of a sun's energy to form food, a glucose molecule, and then out of whatever, after whatever energy it has, only 10% is utilized to form its own body by the primary consumers, and then 10% of the primary consumer is used by the secondary consumer, and only 10% of the like energy is used by the tertiary consumers by eating secondary consumer. So this 10% energy is called, also called 10% rule. 10% rule. So I just explained above that there is nothing called straight line food chain. There is a food web. This way it looks like this. Firstly, the flow of energy is unidirectional. It is unidirectional. If it is goes from the primary consumer, it will never come to the producer again. It will goes in secondary consumers. So it is a this flow of energy now, which is like going 10%, 10%, 10% energy, is always upward like this. It is never downward. So it is only unidirectional, which has only one direction. The energy that is captured by the at phototrophs, autotrophs, does not reverse back to the solar input, and the energy which passes to the herbivores do not come back to the autotrophs. Same thing. Secondly, the energy available at the each tropic levels get diminished progressively due to the loss of energy in each level. Loss of energy, 90% energy is lost. As we have studying, only 10% of energy is passing, and 90% is getting disposed of, diminished of. And this shows the food web consisting of the many food chains. This again diagram showing energy, the direction of the energy. This is the direction of the energy. Here 10% is 1% is used, 1% is here, then here 10%, then here 10%, and again here 10%. So this is unidirectional. It never comes this way. Harmful chemicals are not degradables, and these accumulated progressively into each tropic levels, and this phenomenon is called biological magnification. What happens, this is something harmful is taken by these producers, like herbivorous is formed in a producer and taken by the herbivorous, or maybe here by the carnivorous also, especially a herbivorous. When they take some chemical things, synthesized molecules, since we know that they have been evolved naturally, so they don't know how to digest unknown things. If chemically synthesized molecule is taken up by them, most of them are like medicine, drugs, and all that. They don't have this um, handling a complex molecule like synthesized molecule. So what it gets stored up into the body of the herbivores. When the herbivores were eaten up by the carnivores, it again accumulates. Lot of accumulation will be there because it will eat many carnivores. And when this carnivores was eaten by the upper level carnivores or top carnivores, there will be more accumulation of these toxic substances, and this phenomenon is called biological magnification. Chemical who are not degradable, it neither can degradable nor it can be digestible in the sense that it cannot be converted into any other forms. It will be digested, it forms the part of the body, digestible in the sense that I'm saying it cannot be broken down by these organisms because they are naturals and they don't have a mechanism to digest or to decompose or like break down artificially synthesized molecules, mostly drugs, the drugs that we use. And we have seen one example, it is not here, it is in some like geography chapter, like eagles. There is a chemical called dichlorophine, I'm forgetting the exact name. which has been given to some cows and cattle and buffaloes, dichlorophene, something like that. And this is a medicine in cow, and I don't know what it is actually. When the cow and cattle die, eagles eat it. And as in cow don't have any like system for decomposing or breaking down that drug, it gets accumulated in the eagle. And eagle also don't have this. So eagle have a very hard, eagle's kidney get malfunction, is eagle kidney did not work, and many eagles died due to this. I'm forgetting the exact name of that molecule. So this was the example. And when this medicine, and this eagle will become critically in danger, and most of them were near to extinct. And then when this medicine was banned from, from the cattle's, you know then it's the eagles population, then becomes, increases, eagle population increases after that. This was due to the biological magnification. And let's talk about the how do our activities affects the environment. Like we know about the climate change. Along with the climate change, we also have a one thing, ozone layer depletion. O3 is a molecule for the ozone, and ozone is a deadly poison. It seals, however, it has an essential function. It seals the surface of the earth from UV radiations from the suns. It protects our upper atmosphere, ozone layer in our stratosphere, which is on the top of the troposphere. And these UV radiations are blocked by the ozone shield. And UV radiation causes cancer in human beings. This O2 forms this way. Oxygen breaks down into two separate molecules, two separate atoms, and this O2 is attached with the O then to form O3. This decrease has been linked to synthetic chemicals like chlorophylls. Okay, this was like why ozone was depleting, because of some chemicals like chlorophene and all that. And these are synthetic chemicals, these are not like naturally occurring, these are synthesized by the humans. And these are used in refrigerator and fire extinguishers. So when we banned these uh, chloro, chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, and other ozone depleting molecules, then we saw that ozone layer is slowly recovering. Substance that are broken down by the biological process are said to be biodegradable. So degradables can be degraded, can be broken down. Molecules which can be broken down are called degradable, biodegradable. Substances that do not break down in this manner are said to be non-biodegradable. So biological process, if it is like, if biological process is breaking any substance, any molecule, this is called biodegradable. If not, then it is non-biodegradable. Let's quickly revise this. The various components of the ecosystem are interdependent, and producer make energy from the sunlight available to the rest of the ecosystem. This loss of energy, there is a loss of energy as we go from the one trophic level to the next, and this limits the number trophic level in the food chain. So why there are we don't have a 10 or 11 trophic levels? Because we know like only like 10% rule, 10% rule, 10%. So hardly at the top this top carnivorous, we hardly have, lot do not have much energy, because these 10% rule restricts and limits the number of trophic levels. Human activity have impacted the environment that we everybody knows, and the use of the chemical like CFC has endangered the ozone layer. Since the ozone layer protects us from the ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun, and that could damage the environment along with the human and animal skins. And the waste that is generated may be biodegradable and non-biodegradable, and the disposal of the waste we generate is causing a serious environmental issues. So here ends this chapter.